And welcome to another edition of A Chat With. Today, I have a great chat that I'm going to have. One of my favorite artists, other than Toto, and I've told everybody the story about Toto and the first time I heard Hold the Line, is a gentleman named Weird Al. Everybody knows Weird Al Yankovic and his parody songs, My Bologna, uh, Ricky. Just to name a few of the songs. They know his movie UHF, whether they've seen it, they've at least heard of it if they haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, see it. You know him from all his albums, Off the Deep End, Alapalooza, Weird Al, the UHF soundtrack, the Weird Al movie soundtrack, the Weird Al movie. And today I have the honor of speaking to one of the members of his menagerie that is lovingly his band. I'm going to speak today with Jon Bermuda Schwartz. Jon, how you doing, man?
I am doing great. Thank you, Sam, for having me on.
It is an honor. As you can tell, this is a bucket list interview for me. I have a few artists that I really, really admire, a few bands that I really admire, and your band is one of them. And not for Weird Al. Weird Al is another idol of mine as well, but I really admire your band. And the reason I admire the band is because of how hard you guys work. When I first heard of Weird Al was Like a Surgeon was the song. And I saw the video and I thought to myself, this guy's pretty funny. This guy's pretty good. And then I have a friend who worked in the record industry, Kevin Shea, who said, Sam, Weird Al is going to be playing in Brantford, Ontario. Uh, why don't you grab your girlfriend and come with me and my girlfriend? We'll go and see the show, and I'll take you back and meet at Weird Al afterwards. And I'm not a big concert guy because I work in the bar and was working in the bar industry and doing radio in the evenings, and so I didn't get to concerts and that. So I got to go to your concert, and I saw how tight the band is. I mean, they were so professional. And it's not like it's easy stuff. It's not like it's rhythmic in the sense of this is your style, this is what you do. It's not your style. It's everybody else's style that you guys are adopting. Um, what for me, my question would be, you guys took that so seriously, which I knew you would anyway. It's not like a joke, but it's fun. It's a good time, and you guys make it a good time by playing it the way you play it. Is that a deliberate thing that you want to honor the songs even though you're giving showing parody to them?
Well, no, of course we need to honor the songs that we're parodying, and we take great pride in doing that. And we're not trying to make those our own. We're trying to duplicate and really sell the music. So when Al sings his different lyrics on it, it really just it pops out. We it's really rare that we kind of mess with the vibe of the original song. Now, I will say on the very first album, it was a very accordion-based album, and we didn't really make too much effort to sound too much like the original songs. I mean, obviously melodically and stuff, but it was very accordion-based because that was the deal. He was an accordion parody artist, and that's just how that had to be. By the second album in 1984, with Eat It and a few other songs, we sort of turned the corner and strove to sound more like, play more like, produce more like the songs we were parodying. The idea being, if you heard, let's say, the beginning of Eat It on the radio, you might not know that it was Weird Al until he started singing different lyrics, and it's like, oh, this is that copy of Michael Jackson. And we got really, really good at copying songs. I mean, in the beginning, we were pretty good. We got really, really good over time to where you would probably not know if you could just hear the music from the original and our parody, you wouldn't know the difference, which is a great testament to what we do and what we had learned as players and artists, and working for Al, who that's what he does, and he relies on us to do that, and we're very proud of it.
Now, as a non-musician, my theory is those that can do, those that can't do radio. And as a drummer, it has to be difficult for you because as a drummer, I'm sure you took lessons as a youth, and you're taught certain ways to do things, certain ways to count off, that sort of thing, certain beats and that sort of thing. But the artists that you're parodying, a lot of times don't go into that straight up what you learned routine. Was it difficult for you to pick up on the different types of drumming that you had to do?
Some of it was. I mean, some of it was not. I don't want to say it was new to me, but stuff I hadn't really done before. So when we did Grapefruit Diet to Cherry Pop and Daddy's Zoot Suit Riot, I mean, I was familiar with swing and all of that, and but I don't think I had ever really played it, and it took a little bit of work to sort of get that vibe, get that feeling, because it wasn't something I was used to. Um, but one thing when we're doing the parodies, or when we're doing even his originals, is to listen to what the source is. In the case of the parodies, it's to listen to Michael Jackson, get the exact parts and get the exact sounds, and et cetera, et cetera. And when we're doing originals, his originals are frequently sort of in the vibe of some of his favorite bands. So I would listen to, and he would tell us specifically, I want sort of this vibe from this song of theirs, and not the exact part, let's say, but if to convey that. So I would listen and kind of interpret and put my own little spin on it. But it was always, listening was always important. And, fortunately, more times than not, I was able to actually play the parts that I wanted to play. Now, it also introduced me to programming and sequencing and sound design, creating sounds, as we began to parody more and more songs that did use sequences. We couldn't really do live drums on a song that was programmed. It just didn't sound the same, didn't feel the same, and that's not the deal. We tried to copy the original songs, and that meant I had to step up, or someone else had to come in and do my part, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to be responsible for all the drums, and I have been so far.
Now, when Al picks out a song, I would assume you guys are sent the original version of the song, and then you guys decide how you want to approach that song, both musically and visually as well. Because one of the things, if you haven't been to a Weird Al show, folks, you should know that it's not just a bunch of guys that are dressed nice, playing music and entertaining. There's a lot of costumes involved and a lot of changes involved. Um, who sets that? Is that set up as an entity as the band, or is it just something Al has a vision and say this is what I'd like?
Oh, it's Al's vision all the way, and it's like when we do the full production show, as we'll be doing this year. Uh, it's kind of like a Broadway show. It's kind of like a rock and roll show. It's billed as a multimedia rock and comedy extravaganza or something like that. And it's literally from start to finish. There's always something going on. And when we do the costume changes, there are videos running during that. I mean, there's always something for the audience to see and hear. And it's nonstop. This show is about 2 hours and 8 minutes long, and it's absolutely nonstop. And but it's all Al's vision. He tells us what he wants. I mean, when playing the songs, when recording the songs, he doesn't really have to tell us. It's like, okay, we're doing this song, and unless there's a key change or unless there's an arrangement change or something like that, it's like we know what we have to do. In fact, we don't even rehearse the parodies. There's no need to. We just show up in the studio and play them. Or more lately, we work on the files at home and send them to Al, and he goes into the studio with them and puts them together, and the song is done.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
And that's
very
a
often,
testament to the professionalism of the band as well.
well, it's yeah, because we're not trying to do stuff that wasn't done in the original song that we're parodying. If it was sequenced, that's what we do. It was played live, that's what we do. But again, more and more hit songs are just not played live, drum wise anyway. And I have no problem, and in fact, it's helped me in other areas of my career with other bands to learn and grow as a programmer. And I'm very proud of that too. That's not something I would have conceived of when I started doing that 40 years ago.
And that's the thing. You also you're not just exclusively with Weird Al. You're helping other bands as well. Um, is that for you? Is that a nice way to kind of take a break, purge a little bit, and have a chance to do other things and kind of breathe and keep the freshness of the Weird Al stuff?
A little bit. I've always been in however many bands will tolerate me, and without me upsetting one because I had too many gigs with the other. I am currently in three other bands besides Al, and one of them the one guy I've been with since 1981. I met him shortly after Al, and I've been working with him ever since. In fact, I've already got gigs booked with him after this tour. And what's great about these other bands, and I appreciate, is even though I've come and gone and come and gone several times, and they'll bring in other players to fill my shoes, they always have me back. And I'm very happy about that, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm very grateful for that. They don't have to do that. They don't have to keep changing their lineup just to accommodate me, but they do it. And I asked them one time. In fact, I provided a sub for one of the gigs, and I asked how he did, and he said, "Oh, he's fine." I said, "Well, couldn't he keep time?" He said, "No, his time was great." I said, "Did he play too loud?" No, he's great dynamics. Was he not a nice guy? No, a great guy. I said, "Well, why won't you call him back?" They said, "Well, he's not you." I thought I was very flattered by that. That was very sweet.
And that's high praise to hear from the other bands that you're with that he's not you. That's so cool.
Yeah, and they all use multiple other subs to come in, but I always come back and come back into those bands, which I appreciate. So one, it keeps me busy between tours. I mean, sometimes we take a year and a half off, and I like to play drums. So I'm in these other bands, and one band I've been in for 20 years, another band I've been in for 14 or 15, and I have always throughout my career with Al, I've always been in other bands. But these are some of the longest ones, and there's really not any danger of them getting so big that they would interfere with my career with Al. I mean, that's going to come first, and we all know that, and that's just how it is.
And speaking of which, you met Al way back in 1980, I believe it was,
Yeah,
on the Dr. Demento show. And Dr. Demento has just announced his retiring. Uh,
yeah.
how do you guys feel about the guy that got you started is hanging up the top hat?
Well, he absolutely gave Al the exposure that he wouldn't have had otherwise, and you know, and because of Dr. Demento, I was in a position to meet Al. I was at his live show, in the first place because of prior interaction with Dr. Demento. I'd sent him some recordings in the early and mid '70s that he played on the radio, which was kind of rare at the time. I mean, when Al came in and started sending stuff in, like, I think '75 or '76 was the first stuff he sent in. That was just beginning. The show was just beginning to cater to homemade music, but the way I met Al was for some. It's sort of it's very convoluted. I was invited to come down to the Dr. Demento show to see him do his live show in Los Angeles. I came down there, and this was through my brother, and both of us went to see the show. And so I met Dr. Demento for the first time, and he asked me. This was 1980, and he asked me if I'd like to come back and do an interview about the recordings that I had sent in earlier, because I was one of the first people to send in homemade music that got played on the show. And I said, "Oh, that'd be great." So I came out. By this time, the show was good. Weird Al was already very well known on the show. So I came back, and it was September 14th, 1980, and Al was there that night. And he frequently came down and he answered phones, and he did all sorts of shtick on the show. And so I met him, and, which was great. And I knew who he was, of course. And I did my interview, and he was debuting a song he had just written that weekend, in fact. Another one, Rides the Bus, a parody of the Queen. Another one, Bites the Dust. And he asked me if I would beat on his accordion case. And all the other sort of cast members had horns and were clapping and singing and doing stuff, but it was accordion case, and that was it. And he was going to play it live on the air. And I said, "Oh, that'd be great." So we rehearsed it, and which was not a terribly difficult thing, and no attempt to make it sound like Queen. We didn't have guitars or any of that stuff. And we did it live on the air. Dr. Demento happened to make a recording of it and actually became a single. And the song was very popular. And again, this is not the first thing Al had on the show, but that was the night I met him, worked with him for the first time that night. We exchanged phone numbers. I said, "You should have a band. I'll be your drummer." And he said, "Oh, okay." not realizing it would actually go anywhere, but it did, and continued to, and continues to. And it was just one of those chance meetings. I mean, it was the right place, right time, not something you could ever invent. I said the right thing, I guess, and I don't remember why. It's not necessarily like I saw a 45-year future ahead of me. It just was something, it was just the right time for both of us, I guess. And it turned into a great thing.
And that right time turned into 20 albums, seven of which went platinum, one went double platinum, two were gold, 49 singles, one was platinum and two were gold, plus the movie for Al, the biograph, the we'll call it a biography,
Yeah.
and um shows all over the world. I mean, you guys have been everywhere around the world. You've entertained millions and millions and millions of fans, and you keep doing it to this day. Um, but before we get to the talking about the tour, which we will in a moment, I have one more thing I want to touch on in your life, and that is one of the cool side gigs you have. That's designing websites. How did that come about?
Well, that started for me way back in 1995. Now I'd been online since '93, so I was beginning to get familiar with what was out there. And in '95, it was evident that some of the fans who were technologically a little more ahead than I was, than any of us were, had websites dedicated to Al. And I thought, well, I got a ton of photos, all sorts of stories. I've got lists of all the things we've done, from inside the Al camp. Would be really cool if I produced a website. So now websites were a lot simpler in those days. I literally got a book, How to Design Cool Websites. And in mid-August, I read the book. We had a gig up in Oregon, and some kind of a one-off. So we were flying up there, flying back, and I read the book on the way back with the intention of I'm going to design a website for Al, and I did, and it was very simple and very text-based. It was called the Bermuda Files. Now we didn't even have WeirdAl.com at the time. I wasn't really savvy to domain names quite yet, but I had web space via my internet provider, and I uploaded. I think I had like 100K of space, so it was literally just like a text site. And the fans loved, the limited information I had on there. And within a few years, it grew. I had begun to learn more. I had begun to get some web clients. I got a business license, so I could work out of the house and have write-offs and stuff. And I began to have several clients. And it was kind of a side hobby to the drumming, but I made some money and did some fun sites and some cool sites. And I did Al's website right up until I think the Mandatory Fun album. And it was time at that point, it was 2015, 2016, that people were using the web on their devices, on their phones, on their iPads and stuff like that. And the technology for that, the architecture was different than on a computer or a laptop screen. And I never really adapted to that. So Al had to make a move. He went to a WordPress format, and which is very much a WYSIWYG. He could work on it, himself.
Yeah.
And which is, and I have access to the site. And sometimes I'll make little updates little detailed things that I'm known for, like adding the band members on this tour. I went into the site and added the 4 new band members and described what they did and all of that to a long list of players that have worked with us over the years. And what's interesting is I don't use the WYSIWYG thing. I don't just type. I go into the code, and because that's what I recognize, and I go in and make the changes in the coding. I look at it, make sure it works, and it does. But the web thing has sort of dropped off for me, and I just this year did not renew my license after almost 30 years of doing websites. And it's like, yeah, I do my site. I do a couple of sites for a couple of the bands I'm in, but it's just sort of, I don't know, the kids are taking over this stuff and they do it so much better and more elegantly. And you can create your own site that's set up for devices, and you don't need anyone to do code at all anymore, really.
Yeah, I do. I did our site for the radio station, but for me it was basically just point and click, point and click, point and
Yeah,
click.
Yeah.
And I went to university for computer programming, and unfortunately, all the programs I took are obsolete now. So
Yeah.
here I am back in radio.
Yeah. I took in college, I took Fortran, assembler, compiler, was probably about to go to COBOL. Basic, I think, was a new thing. A program language was another thing. All gone, all useless now.
Yep, I took basic Fortran, COBOL, and RPG too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You
and
made a
I'm
wise decision to go with radio.
no kidding. Now we're running out of time, and I want to talk about the tour. Uh, the tour is called the Bigger and Weirder Tour 2025, and you guys are going to be starting this second leg of the gig tomorrow in Salt Lake City, which is where you are now on as we tape this. But coming up July the 9th, you're going to be in Toronto at the Budweiser stage. That's going
Yep.
to be a great show. It's an outdoor venue. I think you guys are going to have a wonderful time. Um,
We did. We played
and
there in 2019 on the orchestral tour, on the strings attached tour. So we're familiar with the venue, and it's a nice stage. It's a great open, air amphitheater kind of a thing. And we had a great crowd. I think we sold it out when we played there. In fact, we played there also in July of that year. So I guess you guys like us in July.
yep, that's it exactly. And then on the 11th, you're going to be at Darien Lake. So you're doing a couple of outdoor gigs
Oh,
over that little span. So it's going to be a good time for you and the fans. Tickets are available. You can pick them up at Ticketmaster. So be sure and check out their website. Check out weirdal.com for all your weirdness that you need to know. And also check out bermudaschwartz.com for a couple of things. Not only just some great photos of Jon himself, some great information on Jon, but also you can pick up his two books. And I would love to make arrangements with you once the tour's over and you've had time to breathe to have you back on the show to talk exclusively about those books.
oh, I would love to. Very proud of those. Al is loved them. I mean, he approved everything in them, of course, and the fans love them. And I think they were done very well, if I do say so myself.
Now, just before I let you go, people are going to the show. What are they expecting?
Well, we're back to the full production show. We did a couple of tours where we literally just sat on stage, played a bunch of originals, and said goodnight. This is back to the production with videos, costumes. We brought out for the first time 4 additional players. We've got a couple of horn players. We've got one lady that just sings. Another girl plays guitar, sings, plays percussion. The horn players sing, I assume, when they don't have a horn in their mouth. And and then, in addition to the 4 of us on stage and Al up front, occasionally with the accordion. So it's a full-on multimedia rock and comedy extravaganza, just nonstop for over 2 hours. And the responses so far have been great. And the reviews have been great. And it really, being part of this and having done this for many, many years and doing it again, this is a really good show. I would say this is the biggest, and maybe not the weirdest, but certainly the biggest, coolest, greatest show we're doing. A few new songs in there. Fans have heard them, but they've never heard us play them. So we're doing stuff for the first time. This is, without a new album in over 10 years, this is, we have to improve each tour. And this one is definitely, each tour is an improvement. And this is the best and the biggest and the weirdest, I think.
And with that, I want to thank you very much. My guest has been Jon Bermuda Schwartz, drummer for Weird Al Yankovic. The tour, again, bigger and wider, or weirder, sorry, 2025. Be sure and check out weirdal.com and bermudaschwartz.com for all your information on the tour. And we're going to finish this off with a song that I chose specifically because it shows a different side of Al. And it's something we are going to enjoy. This is Weird Al from the George Harrison Festival, and this is What Is Life. Jon, thank you for taking some time for me, and it was an honor to meet you.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Thank you very much.
And with that, we will be back in just a little bit, but here's Al.